The story of Edward Teach, better known as Blackbeard. Edward Teach, later known as Blackbeard, was one of the most famous pirates to ever sail the seas. He was born around 1680 in England. As a young man, he loved stories about the ocean and adventure. When he grew older, Edward joined the British Navy and learned how to sail and fight. After the war ended, many sailors lost their jobs, and some became pirates. Edward joined a pirate crew and quickly became known for being smart, fearless, and clever. He soon earned his own ship and crew, and that's when he started calling himself Blackbeard. Blackbeard had a long, dark beard and wore lit fuses under his hat during battle to look scary. People said he looked like a monster when he fought, with smoke around his face and wild eyes. But Blackbeard wasn't just scary. He was also a great planner. He often got ships to surrender without fighting by making them afraid. This is the story of how Edward Teach became a pirate legend. But behind the beard and the smoke was a man who used fear, fame, and smarts to rule the seas. His journey is full of danger, treasure, and clever tricks. And it begins now. Blackbeard's pirate career truly began when he joined forces with a pirate captain named Benjamin Hornigold. Hornigold saw something special in Edward and made him a trusted officer. They sailed together through the Caribbean, capturing merchant ships and growing their fleet. Soon, Edward proved he was ready to lead his own crew. In 1717, he captured a large French ship named La Concorde. It was full of weapons and supplies, perfect for a pirate. He renamed it the Queen Anne's Revenge and made it his flagship. This powerful ship had 40 guns and a strong, loyal crew. Now in command, Blackbeard sailed up and down the American coast and the Caribbean. He became known everywhere for his bold attacks and strange appearance. Sailors feared him, and many surrendered without a fight. This helped Blackbeard gain more treasure and power. He didn't just steal for fun. Blackbeard ran things like a businessman. He shared treasure fairly and made rules for his crew. He also knew when to avoid trouble. He would often block ports and wait until ships had no choice but to give in. Blackbeard was now a rising star among pirates. But with fame came danger. Governments and Navy ships were starting to take notice, and they didn't like what they saw. Blackbeard quickly became one of the most feared pirates in the world. His beard, wild eyes, and burning fuses made him look like a sea demon. But it wasn't just looks. He was smart, and brave too. He used fear as a weapon, and avoided battles when he could win without fighting. One of his boldest moves was blocking the port of Charleston, South Carolina. He and his crew stopped all ships going in or out. They even took hostages and demanded medicine in return. The city had no choice. They gave Blackbeard what he wanted. After the blockade, Blackbeard sailed north to North Carolina. He wanted a safe place to rest and repair his ship. Some say he made a secret deal with the governor there. In return for peace, Blackbeard would stop stealing for a while. But pirates don't stay quiet for long. Blackbeard kept his treasure hidden and moved between secret islands and quiet harbors. His crew stayed loyal, and new pirates joined him, hoping to become legends too. Even though he was a pirate, Blackbeard didn't always use violence. He knew how to scare people without hurting them. That's what made him so powerful. But others were getting angry. The Navy wanted him stopped once and for all. By 1718, Blackbeard was a big problem for the colonies. Governors and merchants were afraid of losing more ships and goods. They begged for help. The governor of Virginia, Alexander Spotswood, decided it was time to act. He sent 2 ships and a brave officer named Lieutenant Robert Maynard to stop Blackbeard. Maynard knew it wouldn't be easy. Blackbeard had a strong ship and a clever crew. But Maynard had a plan. At the same time, Blackbeard was living in a quiet cove near Ocracoke Island. He wasn't hiding. He still had his crew and weapons, but he didn't expect a surprise attack. That would soon change. Maynard sailed toward Blackbeard's ship in the early morning. Blackbeard saw the ships and got ready. He shouted to his men and loaded the cannons. The battle for Blackbeard's life was about to begin. This was no ordinary sea fight. Blackbeard had fought many battles, but this one would be the most dangerous yet. The sea was calm, but the air was tense. Everyone knew that only one side would win. Blackbeard smiled through the smoke. He was ready. The sun rose over the water as Blackbeard faced the two Navy ships. Maynard's men looked nervous, but their leader stayed calm. Blackbeard opened fire, and the sea filled with smoke and booming cannon blasts. One of Maynard's ships was badly hit. Blackbeard thought he had the upper hand, but Maynard had hidden most of his men below deck. When Blackbeard climbed aboard to finish the fight, Maynard gave the signal, and his men rushed out to surprise him. What followed was fierce and close. Blackbeard fought like a warrior. He had pistols, a cutlass, and no fear. Maynard's crew fought hard, too. The battle was loud and wild. Blackbeard was shot and stabbed many times, but he didn't fall. Finally, after a long and painful fight, Blackbeard was struck down. It's said he was hit over 20 times before he finally stopped moving. Even in death, he seemed larger than life. Maynard cut off Blackbeard's head and hung it on the ship as proof that the feared pirate was truly gone. His body was thrown into the sea. The battle was over, but the legend had just begun. With Blackbeard gone, the seas became safer, but quieter too. Pirates everywhere were shocked. If someone like Blackbeard could fall, maybe their days were numbered. Lieutenant Maynard returned to Virginia with Blackbeard's head hanging from the ship's bow. Crowds came to see it, amazed that the pirate who ruled the seas was truly defeated. The message was clear: piracy would no longer be allowed. But Blackbeard's story didn't end with his death. People began to tell stories, some true, some not. They said his ghost haunted the seas, that his treasure was still hidden, and that his spirit never truly left the ocean. Sailors whispered his name in storms, and some claimed to hear footsteps on quiet decks. Whether or not the stories were real, one thing was certain: Blackbeard had become a legend. He was remembered not just as a pirate, but as a man who used fear, planning, and leadership to make his mark on history. His tale was passed down from sailor to sailor, and now to us. Years passed, but Blackbeard's legend only grew. Children asked their parents, who was Blackbeard? And old sailors told tales of his fire-lit beard and fearless heart. Writers and artists made stories and pictures of him. Some showed him as a monster, others as a misunderstood hero. Everyone agreed on one thing: Blackbeard was unforgettable. Some believed he had buried a great treasure somewhere along the coast. Treasure hunters searched beaches, islands, and old caves, hoping to find gold and silver. So far, nothing has ever been found, but the dream lives on. Blackbeard's ship, the Queen Anne's Revenge, was lost at sea for hundreds of years. Then, in the 1990s, it was found off the coast of North Carolina. People were amazed to see real pieces of Blackbeard's life: cannons, tools, and even dishes. Now, museums show these treasures, and people from all over the world come to learn about the pirate who once ruled the seas. Blackbeard may be gone, but his story is alive. Edward Teach, known as Blackbeard, lived a short but unforgettable life. He didn't sail for many years, but the impact he made was huge. His name still brings excitement, mystery, and a little fear. He wasn't just a pirate. He was a master of image, a clever captain, and a man who became a legend through stories. He reminds us how powerful a name and a story can be. Even today, his face appears in books, games, shows, and museums. Blackbeard's tale teaches us about courage, leadership, and the price of fame. He chose a life full of danger and freedom, and even though it ended in battle, he is remembered centuries later. His life reminds us that stories can outlive even the strongest people. Edward Teach became more than just a man. He became a legend of the sea. And now, you know the story of the pirate who lit fire in his beard and sailed into history.